Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I welcome you to this session, Gita Made Easy, Chapter 13, Prakriti, Purush, Vivek Yog, or Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. So a lot of secrets will be revealed today. There's a lot of power-packed information which is available in this particular chapter, and we'll explore that today. But before we do that, I'll offer my respectful obeisances to my preeminent Siksha Guru, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatam Aham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramanandam Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So before we continue with chapter 13, let's quickly have an overview of chapter 12. So we saw the first 7 verses of chapter 12. Krishna highlighted that how bhakti is the best, because Arjuna started with a question: what is better, worshipping you impersonally, the impersonal conception of God, is that better, or the personal feature of God, which is better? So Krishna immediately explains that how those who worship the personal form of the Lord, they are the most perfect. So Krishna has given his opinion there, and then he further says that those who worship the impersonal feature, it's for them advancement is very, very difficult. And another great thing that Krishna tells there is that Krishna personally delivers his devotees, and he delivers them very swiftly, very quickly. So Krishna takes charge of his devotees. So that's why Bhakti Yoga is the best. And then further in next few verses from 8 to 12, Krishna talks about the progressive stages of devotion. He talks about the perfect state where the mind is absorbed in the Lord and intelligence is engaged in serving the Lord. That is the perfected stage. And if one is not at that stage, then one should follow the regulative process of sadhana bhakti. And if one is not even able to do that, then at least one should perform karma yoga. And then Krishna talks about the qualities that are very, very dear to him. So what is the attitude one should have towards oneself? How one should deal with other living entities? What is the reaction when things happen to us, good or bad? How a devotee should react to those situations, and how one should have dealings, what kind of dealings one should have with the Lord. So that was chapter 12. And what are the key learnings for chapter 13? 1. Some significant qualities to gain knowledge. So this is very fascinating. I find this really fascinating. There are 20 qualities, saintly qualities, which Krishna talks about in this particular chapter. And Lord is saying that if you develop these qualities, then very easily we can understand the mysteries of consciousness, the mysteries of the super soul. So all these mysteries are revealed if we develop these qualities. So this is very interesting. By developing qualities, we develop knowledge. Right? So that is very fascinating. Well, a lot of this chapter this explanation is done about soul and super soul. So this equation is discussed, what the details are there in the chapter, and who is the real enjoyer. Because we are all born and brought up in this way that I am the enjoyer, and not only in this life, but all the previous lives, I've been thinking that yes, now I've got this body, I've got this world, and I should now begin enjoying. Everything is for my enjoyment. So this is what we usually understand. But who's the real enjoyer? So we'll look at that question towards the end of this chapter. So this is a chapter overview. First 7 verses, Arjun is asking very intelligent questions. He asks 6 questions, and then Krishna answers many of them in this first section, intelligent questions. And second, the qualities that we are talking about, the knowledge and how to gain that. right? So that process is from the 8 to 12. There are 20 qualities mentioned there. And finally, Krishna goes in detail discussing about the qualities of soul and super soul and more about super soul. So those qualities are discussed from 13th to 19th. Finally, the question comes about the enjoyer. Who is the real enjoyer? Is it the soul, super soul? How, what? And finally, if we understand this knowledge, if we really deeply realize this knowledge, what will happen to our vision? How will we see things around us? So, Gyan Chakshu. Chakshu, Gyan Chakshu, seeing through the eyes of scriptures, seeing through the eyes of knowledge. So, Gyan Chakshu, so that we'll see towards the end of this chapter. So, we'll begin with intelligent questions. Well, as a student, we must ask questions. So if you'll notice that at the end of every session, we are asking if you have any doubt, if you have any question, don't hesitate. Post your questions, because by questioning, more and further knowledge is revealed to us. So that is in the first 7 verses. And let's look at those questions. So Arjuna asked 6 questions, and this is all about body, soul, super soul equation. So let's look at this first verse. Arjuna Vacha Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetragyam Evacha Etad Veditu Tam Ichchami Jnanam Geyam Cha Keshava. Translation. Arjun said, "Oh my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge, and the object of knowledge." So we see that these 6 words which are underlined in the verse, these are the 6 things which Arjun wants to know about. Prakriti, Purush, Kshetra, Kshetragya, Jnanam, Geyam. Prakriti means nature, Purush means the enjoyer, the person. Kshetra means the field, Kshetragya means knower of the field. We will see what it means. Gyan means the knowledge, Geyam means knowledge about what? The object of knowledge. So these are the 6 things that Arjun wants to know. So we have translated that in English. Kshetra means the body. So body. And then we see on the right side, knower of the body. So this is one set, body, and who's the knower of the body. Then the knowledge and the object of knowledge, and then nature and enjoyer. So these are the 6 questions. These are also in a pictorial form, right? So for all of us to visualize, body and knower of the body. Who knows this body? Is there one knower or more than one knower? And then the nature, Prakriti, and the enjoyer. Right? So Arjun wants to know about them, about this material nature and about the supreme enjoyer. And finally, these 2 questions about object of knowledge. So what we want, we want to know more. We want to know more about what. So here we see that the objects of knowledge, the soul and super soul, and what is that knowledge all about. So this whole chapter, Krishna discusses this knowledge, and then he presents in a very, very wonderful form. So I have, this is one analogy with which we can understand this very easily. So what do we see on the slide? We see that there is a field, and we see that a farmer is tilling that field. That's what we see. So there is a piece of land, and it belongs to the farmer, and the farmer is tilling the land and he's growing something. So if he grows grains, then he can enjoy those grains. When the grains grow up, then he can enjoy that. If he grows cactus, then he will suffer. Or if he does not really care about it, then weeds will grow and the land will really become a big mess. So it depends on what he does with the land. Accordingly, he will either enjoy or he suffer. So this one thing is very simple for us to understand. And also we know that this farmer is not the land. Farmer is separate, land is separate. Okay, so these things are very important for us to understand body, soul and super soul. So farmer owns this land, or this land belongs to the farmer, but beyond the farmer there is also a king. So the entire kingdom belongs to the king. So this land also belongs to the king. So we can see that the king is the super owner and the farmer is the interim owner. The farmer will come and go, but the land will remain, and that land belongs or remains with the king. So if we look at this particular analogy, so this land is the kshetra or the body. Who is using this body? The farmer is using the body. If we engage this body in pious activity, I'll get good result. If I'll till this the farmland, if I am doing farming, and if I grow nice vegetables and grains, well, who will enjoy them? The farmer will enjoy. But if he does not take care, and if he spoils the land, if he does not grow proper things, then he will suffer. So this body is there as a kshetra. If I engage in doing pious activity, I will enjoy. If I engage this body in doing sinful activities, well, I will suffer, right? But this body, yes, I am in this body belongs to me, but at the same time, this body is the property of the Lord. As the king owns all the property in his kingdom. So we look at one more analogy. A house. So there is a house, and of course, when there is a house, there will be a house owner as well. So there is a house owner. So the owner owns this house, and of course, we as a tenant, we are looking for a house, and we find this house based on our desires. We say, oh, it is very nice. It is sea facing, and there's a lot of good breeze. I want this house. So I have a desire. I have the money to pay the rent, and the owner agrees to give it to me. So we see this particular situation. So I am a tenant and I have taken this house from the owner. So what is the body? What is the soul? And what is the super soul in this? So if you can work it out, it would be very nice. It's very simple analogy actually. So the house is the body and the tenant is the spirit soul, you and I. And who's the super soul? The house owner. So the Lord has created different bodies from this material nature, and we as spirit soul, depending on our desire, we are given different kinds of houses to live in. So this body is like a house in which I live, and this body, so I am a temporary owner of this body, whereas Lord is the actual owner of this body, because this is his property, because this body is made up of. So if you remember in the 7th chapter we discussed, Krishna was talking about that this material world is composed of 8 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. And then he says this is inferior material energy. Superior to that is the spirit soul, which is also Krishna's energy, but it is superior to matter. Right? So this body, which is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. So this body is also Krishna's property, and I also belong to the Lord. But I am temporarily residing in this body. This body has been given to me by the Supreme Lord. So if these two examples are clear, then we have understood this chapter. And we'll see more details. And before that, we have this life lesson. When body is utilized for spiritual advancement, so Krishna has given us this house, Krishna has given us this field which we should till and which we should do farming on. So when this body is utilized for spiritual advancement, it is like utilizing our land for the best and most expensive crops that would yield maximum benefit. So I hope this inspires you to take up spiritual life, because this is the best use you can put your body to. This body we have for a little short while, few decades. Maybe some of us will live for 50 years, some 60, some 80, some 100, but that's the only time that we have in this body. So we have this farmland for some years. So it is up to us how we maximize our profit. So if we engage in spiritual life, then we can maximize our advantage. We can take the maximum advantage of this human form. So what is the difference between soul and super soul? Krishna discusses this detail, this distinction in the first 7 verses. So one, knower. Okay, so the first attribute is knower. Who am I? I am the soul. What do I know? I know this body, right? For example, if there is a mosquito which is biting the leg, which I'm not even seeing it, but if it is biting, I know. So this body, I'm aware of this body. I'm aware of the pains and pleasures of this body. I'm aware when it feels hunger. I'm aware when it feels the thirst. So I am knower of this body. What about the Supreme Lord? What about the super soul who resides in the heart? In this chapter specifically, Krishna explains that how as super soul, he resides in every living entity's heart. Right? So let's look at the super soul. What does he know? Does he know my body? Oh yes, he is residing in my body as super soul. He knows. Is he residing in your body? Oh yes. So I do not know what is happening in your body. Whether you're feeling hunger, whether you're feeling happy, or whether you're feeling okay, whatever. So whatever emotions you're feeling, whatever the body, whatever signals it is giving, the Lord knows of your body, my body, all of our bodies, and not only just of human beings, but all the living entities in this universe and all the other universes. That is the super soul. That is the Supreme Lord. So he's the super knower of all bodies. What about owner, controller? Well, Lord is the supreme owner. So this body is like a rented house. This body is like that piece of land which I have for some time, which I will till and take advantage, but is actually belonging to the house owner or to the Supreme Lord. So Supreme Lord is the owner and controller of this body. I am a secondary owner. I am a secondary controller of this body. You know, if this concept we can understand even better, see, I'm raising my hand and I'm raising it, I'm taking it down and I'm doing so many actions with my body. But if I do not have absolute control over my body, see how the heart is beating, do I have a control on that? People, they develop blood pressure, they don't have control. They have to take additional medicine to control that blood pressure so that it remains within limits, right? So we really do not have much control over our body also. So we have some control, but beyond a limit, we cannot control this body. So we are secondary controllers. And also we will notice that, well, we can study this medically also. There is a stroke, somebody gets a stroke, either left side of the body, right side of the body, part of the body parts don't work, the hand doesn't rise, the face slackens, the speech becomes slurred. These are some of the initial symptoms of a stroke. So we can, it is understood that there is some hemorrhage in the brain or something. So there is some physical reason why that has happened. Well, it is also explained that if the sanction of the Lord is not there, or if the Lord has given us the control to manage this body, but if that control is withdrawn, then I don't have control over this body. So people go in coma, people suffer strokes. So we can very clearly see that I am only a secondary owner and controller of this body. And what is the position? Well, my position is that I am fallible. I am not perfect. I make mistakes, so that is my position, but Lord is infallible, right? So when we depend on Lord is called Achyut. So he is infallible. So for example, if I need help, I may go to a friend, I may go to a well-wisher and seek help from him. So that person may give us help, or he may not give us help. Because sometimes in need, not everybody is in a position to help us also. But Lord is one who would never fail in helping us and supporting us. So that's why he is called infallible. And Lord is always superior to the soul. and individual soul, we are always subordinate to the super soul. So soul can never become super soul. Soul always remains subordinate to the super soul. And if we know this, if we understand this, the concept, the understanding, the eternal truth of soul, the eternal truth of super soul, and we understand this body, right, that this is like a rented house in which I live. If I understand all these things perfectly, perfect knowledge of these, then we receive this gyan. This is called jnanam. Okay. So we have a life lesson here. Having acquired the theoretical knowledge, so we have in these last several chapters, we have received so much of knowledge about who am I, who's God, what is Prakriti, what is the goal of my life, to develop love of God, right? So much we have gained. So we have acquired enough theoretical knowledge. So let's do some practicals in life. That is devotional service. So the prime devotional service, the main Yuga Dharma in Kali Yuga is Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Namaiva Kevalam Kalau Nasteva 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 Gatir Anyatha. There is no other way, no other way, no other way than to chant Lord Hari's name, Lord Hari's name, Lord Hari's name in this age of Kali. And Lord himself came to inaugurate this process of Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And what did Lord chant? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we should begin this practice of devotional service. We should begin our life chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Of course, we chant Panchtattva mantra and then we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The practice of regular study of Bhagavad Gita. This is our textbook of life. If I want to live my life successfully and die successfully, I must read the book of life. Right? That is Bhagavad Gita. So daily I must spend some time, one shlok, two shloks, something I should read. I should remain connected with Bhagavad Gita as it is. And of course, there are many other ways. We can sing Kirtan, we can do Arati, we can, whatever we eat, we first offer it to the Lord and take only prasadam. So there are many different kinds of devotional service that we can do, or inspire others. That if I feel very inspired about this, I inspire others to take up devotional service and understand Bhagavad Gita. So that is all devotional. So let's begin some practicals in our life. So we come to this very important part of how do we gain this knowledge? Okay, but how do I have deep realizations? You know, how do I internalize? How do I live my life with this knowledge? So here, that's why these qualities are given. So the real process of acquiring this knowledge is of Jiva, of the living entity, of soul, of Paramatma, super soul, and the body, and understanding all these things is by cultivating saintly qualities. So that is very, very important. If we develop these saintly qualities, the saintly character, then that helps the soul to become free from the material body. This entanglement that I am this body, whenever I see the mirror, I say, yeah, that's me. So we are deeply entangled in this body, and this entanglement becomes disentangled. We become free from this material conception, and then we can very easily attain liberation. So let's look at some of these qualities. Of course, there are 20 qualities. I would like you to go back and visit all these qualities. We'll be just picking up the most important ones, significant ones here. Well, the most important quality that Krishna mentions here is Ananya Yogena, constant and unalloyed devotion to the Lord. Constant and pure devotion to the Lord. So that is the most important quality among these 20 qualities. Well, something very interesting. If you have this one quality, balance all qualities will naturally develop. Because it's very simple. See, Krishna is the reservoir of all auspiciousness. He is the reservoir of all good things. When we connect with him, what will happen? all good things will naturally appear in our heart also. Our hearts will become clean. All good virtues will arise in us. And if this most important quality is missing, then I may have the balance 19 qualities, it is of no value. So that's how this becomes the most important quality. And apart from this, the essential qualities, Acharya Upasana, or accepting a bona fide spiritual master. Right? So then I can be very firmly situated, very confidently situated on my spiritual path, because I have a bona fide spiritual master. If I have any doubt, if I have any confusion, if I have to ask questions, whom do I ask? So I ask from a bona fide spiritual master who comes in a Guru Shishya Parampara, as Krishna explains in the 4th chapter. Then all my doubts will be cleared. I know that I'm on the right path, and I can move in a very determined and in a very confident way forward. So our goal is fixed, the most important quality. Our goal is fixed, our guide is fixed in the essential quality. The first two things, our goal and our guide is fixed, and then other things roll out. So here we see some of the other important qualities. The first quality that Krishna mentions there is amanitvam. So Krishna is saying humility. Now what does humility mean? One very simple definition: humility means no expectation for respect. That's all. Humility means no expectation for respect. Second is pridelessness. Pridelessness means that I am not anxious for fame. I have absolutely zero anxiety to achieve some fame. Right? So humility, pridelessness, non-violence. Non-violence means, we will see there is one beautiful life lesson coming up. Usually we understand non-violence means not to harm others. In fact, it is even more subtle than that, not putting any others in distress. That is non-violence. Tolerance means that I have the quality to bear insults and dishonor. So if I receive insults or dishonor, I have the ability, the capability to bear it. Like a tree, people come, they pluck the leaves, they break the branches, they pass urine, they do whatever, and ultimately they cut the tree, and the tree does not oppose. So it tolerates this. So the tree, that's why this example of tree is given. Now we may see, and then yes, there is one more quality of artha jana samsadhi, detachment from general mass of people. Because most people are not interested in this. They have a different goal of life. They don't have spiritual life in their agenda. So therefore, we are in general keep some detachment from the general mass of people. Now, some of these qualities, we may think that, these qualities, they are opposite of what is required in these times. One has to be aggressive. One has to have, if one has humility, one is considered a coward, or one is considered a very, a lowly person. But when we need to understand what is the goal of life. If our goal in life is to advance in spiritual life, to develop love of God, then these qualities are essential. Well, so if we are fixed in that desire, then these qualities will naturally develop. So we don't really have to worry about them so much. So we have a very nice life lesson coming up. Focus on your goal. Get the proper trainer. Learn with all humility. Success would be achieved in any field of life. So if you follow these three things, success is yours. Right? And especially more so in case of spiritual life. And non-violence is not limited to not killing others. It actually means to put others in distress. So non-violence would mean not to put others in distress. Right? So this is very interesting. See, if you look around, and if you look at your own life, if you look at our own lives, our families and others whom we know, and even those whom we don't know, everybody experiences some or the other distress. They're experiencing some or the other distress. I mean, whether there is pandemic or no pandemic, everybody had different kinds of distress in their life. And we understand, if we study Bhagavad Gita, we understand that we are not this body. All that calamity, all that distress that is coming to us, it is coming because of this body. Because spirit soul has nothing to do with all of this. Right? So when we really understand this knowledge, when we really realize it, then we are free from distress. So which means, if I know Krishna consciousness, if I follow Krishna consciousness, I am free from distress, but others are in distress. So if I don't help others in their distress, which means I am putting them in violence. I'm executing violence on them because I'm not helping them. Say somebody is drowning in water. You are not drowning, I am not drowning in water, but somebody else is drowning. Somebody is in distress. So if I don't help him, and he's drowning, and any moment he will drown. And if I don't help him, then I'm putting that other fellow in distress. I'm being violent towards him. So similarly, this material world, everybody is actually suffering one thing or the other. And if I don't give them Krishna consciousness, then I'm being violent towards them. So this is a very profound life lesson. And one more simple formula for self-control: reject anything which is stopping us from spiritual advancement. So whatever you feel is obstructing your spiritual advancement, avoid it. Then your path will become free from obstacles. So we'll move into the third section, that is the soul and the super soul. Krishna explains many qualities of the super soul in this section, and it gets really exciting. So we'll look at this verse. Geyam yatat pravakshyami yajgyatvam ashnute anadimat param brahma na sattan na saduchyate. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So you remember in the beginning of this session we were talking about the knowledge and object of knowledge, jnanam and geyam, which means, geyam means knowledge about what? So that is what Krishna is explaining here. I shall now explain the knowable, what we should spend our life knowing. We should spend our life knowing soul and super soul. And Bhagavad Gita gives this knowledge very simply and very straightforward way. And if we do this, then what will happen? Yaj gyatva amritam ashnute, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Amritam, you will attain eternality just by knowing this. So that is why, that's how profound Bhagavad Gita is. So Krishna is explaining here Brahman, the spirit. So there are, these words are used, Brahm, Brahman and Param Brahman or Para Brahman, which means soul and super soul. So here Krishna is using the word Brahman. So Brahman or Brahm means the spirit soul. And what are the qualities? One quality Krishna mentions is beginningless. You and I, we don't have a beginning. So many of us, we say, how many years you are? Or in the biodata form, we fill up date of birth. So we do not have a date of birth. We are beginningless. But Krishna says, second point, this spirit soul, that is you and I, we are subordinate to him. But we lie beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So which means I am beginningless, I am subordinate to the Lord, and I am beyond the cause and effects of this material world. So what all upheavals are happening in this? Actually, nothing can affect the soul. So attributes of the soul, and that's why I put this picture. If you look at this picture, what does it show? This picture shows for a product, possibly for a medicine, the manufacturing date and the expiry date. right? So there is a date of manufacture, date of expiry. So date of manufacture, date of expiry is there for this body, not for the soul. Soul is eternal. Soul is anadi. It is subordinate to Krishna. It is always, always, always dependent on the Lord. It cannot be independent. For everything, it needs help, support of the Lord. Always. And it is beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So whatever is happening in this material world, it cannot touch the soul. It touches the body. It does not touch the soul, because soul is not matter. It is all spirit. So life lesson, don't waste time in adjusting the furniture of the guest house. Your eternal home is ready to perfection. Just start the return journey. So we are in a guest house. We know we'll stay for a few days. Would we really waste our time in resetting the whole sofa and the bed and the balanced furniture and look at the fan and change the regulator? So would we do really all that for just few days of stay in the guest house? So we have this body which is there for just few years. How much adjustment will we do for this? Focus on the eternal goal. We have been journeying from one body to another body to another body to another body to another body. We are changing one after the other. And our real house is ready. Krishna's world is all perfect. It is ready for us. So when we put our goal there, when we focus on it, then only we can get out of this guest house mentality. Fixing the guest house mentality, we can get out and we can start our return journey. So another very profound life lesson. So actually the purpose of these life lessons is for you to contemplate. So if possible, take a screenshot. We are sending you, you can download your class notes. In those class notes, all these life lessons are mentioned. So really, why are we giving you all this is so that you can contemplate, think about this. We should think. If we think, then we can act. If we don't think, we will never act. So, and I hope all of you are also doing your quizzes. They are very simple, but it helps you consolidate your learning. In the description box, you have the link where you can click and complete your, take the course, complete the quizzes, download the class notes. Everything is available there. Super Soul. So let's look at this verse where Krishna, I think, begins from 14th verse onwards. Krishna is explaining the qualities of Super Soul. Bahir antascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha sukshmatvat tad avigyeyam durastam chantike chatat. So what is Lord saying? The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, sukshmatvat, because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far away, durastham chantike chatat, he is also near to all. So we see that how Krishna is beautifully explaining that Supreme Lord exists outside. Yes, he exists outside this universe. He exists within this universe. He exists in the spiritual world. So he exists outside. He's existing inside. Oh yeah, he's existing in my heart. He is existing in the hearts of all the living entities. Whether the living entities are moving or non-moving, all the living entities are included. And then Krishna is saying, because the super soul is very, very subtle, so it cannot be seen, it cannot be known from the material senses. So that is why when people say, show me God, I'll believe God, is foolishness. That way, that person will never know God. What is the process of knowing God? If we submissively hear from a bona fide devotee, from a bona fide spiritual master. So like we have Bhagavad Gita as it is, we have the commentaries by Srila Prabhupada, who represents the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So that Sampradayic essence we can understand from Srila Prabhupada's purports. So that is how we can understand the Supreme Lord, by hearing, by gaining that knowledge from the acharyas. So beyond the power, so Lord is beyond the power of the material senses. On our own we cannot see and we cannot know him. On our own it's not possible. Lord is very, very far away. For whom? One who is ignorant, one who is completely in ignorance. When sometimes we go out for book distribution, Bhagavad Gita, we would like to take a copy of Bhagavad Gita. It's the manual for life. We tell to so many people. What people say, I don't want, I don't have time, I'm not interested. For an ignorant, Krishna is millions and millions of miles away, kilometers away. He is very, very far away. But to a wise, Krishna is very near, as if living in his own house. Like Krishna, because Krishna is Antaryami, he is staying right with him for the wise. Right? So Krishna is making that beautiful point here. So what are the attributes of the super soul? One, he is all pervading. He is inside, he is outside of us. So how does that feel? Krishna is everywhere. The Supreme Lord is everywhere, right? And it is mentioned that that Lord he is distributed everywhere. All the places, there are so many eyes, so many hands, so many legs, so many ears. So all these senses are described of the Lord, that they are at so many different places. But at the same time, he has no material senses. Like I have a nose, I have eyes, these are all material senses. But it is mentioned that Lord does not have any material sense. So he has all the senses, but he does not have material sense, which means all his senses are spiritual. So when the eyes that Lord has, he can see my past, he can see my present, he can see my future. With my eyes, I cannot see. But Lord can see past, present and future of who? All the living entities in this universe and beyond, all the living entities in the entire creation, Lord can see. That are his eyes. He has legs, but he does not have material legs like you and mine. And with those, he can travel throughout the space in this material world and beyond. He does not have hands, but he has spiritual hands. He accepts whatever we offer with love. So Krishna's all senses are spiritual. So he has spiritual senses, and because he has spiritual senses and because we are his part and parcel, that is how we also have our senses. But right now they are covered with matter. So that is why with these material senses, we are not able to experience the Supreme Lord. And what else the Lord says? He is the origin of the senses, yes, but has no senses. So he has spiritual senses, the Supreme Person. He is the source of all senses of the living entities. So when in the morning you get up, you open your eyes and you see the world around you, you please understand that this is a blessing to you from the Lord. When you get up and you hear anything, you understand that this potency also has been given to you. And these are actually originally in the Lord and we have received from him. Then one more thing, one more quality of super soul is that he is undivided. Now we may think, hey, Paramatma is residing in my heart. Paramatma is residing in his heart, in her heart, in the dog's heart, in the elephant's heart, in the trees. Paramatma is residing in all the living entities. So there are so many Paramatmas. No. Although he appears in all living entities, yet he is one person. He is undivided. So that is why Lord is not like us. He is Supreme Lord. His potencies are at the supreme level, right? So his potencies are, these are his glories and these are his potencies, that although he appears divided in so many different living entities, yet he is one person and he resides in the heart of all. So here very clearly Krishna explains that how Paramatma resides as Antaryami in our heart. So right now Lord is there in your heart, in my heart. So how can we know the soul and super soul? Let's look at this. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam geyam choktam samasatah mad bhakta etad vigaya madbhavayopapadyate. What is Lord saying? Thus the field of activity, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. So Krishna is making one very beautiful point. Mad bhakta etad vigaya. Vigyaya. Yes, mad bhakta etad vigyaya. So those who are my devotees can know. And because they know, mad bhavayo papadyate. And because they know, they attain my nature. So which means if we understand this subject very carefully, naturally we will develop love for God. Right? This is what Krishna is saying here. So life lesson, soul, I am the body. If I think I am the body, then everything is so frustrating. I am the body and it's so frustrating. I am the soul, servant of all-powerful Lord. And it is really liberating. Then actually we become truly carefree. We truly become fearless. We truly become peaceful. We truly become happy and satisfied. Right? When I understand that I am not this body, I am spirit, soul, servant of the all-powerful Lord. Rather than trying to be the controllers, let us give our controls to Krishna. That will give real happiness. How do we give the remote control of my life to the Supreme Lord? Well, Lord is giving the instructions in Bhagavad Gita. If we mold our lives, our day-to-day lives according to the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, that is like giving the control to the Lord. Because Lord is saying, do this, and we are willing to do that. Lord is saying, do that, and we are willing to do that. And that's how we give our control to the Lord. And then our life will be all blissful and happy. So who is the real enjoyer? Let's look at the next verses, 20 to 26. So if we study the qualities of Jiva, Krishna again will explain some qualities of Jiva means you and I, the living entity, the spirit soul. Qualities of the living entities, qualities of the material nature, qualities of super soul, and how to reach perfection. So if we understand this, we can understand who is the real enjoyer. So let's look at some of the qualities of the soul. We saw one of the qualities is that it is beginningless. But there is a problem. The problem is we are ignorant of our own reality. Unless we read Bhagavad Gita, we have no source of information, knowledge that who am I? Who am I? Right? So we are ignorant of our own reality. We misidentify with this body. Every day morning I get up and I groom this body thinking that's me. Whenever I never introduce myself. I introduce this body as myself, right? So that's misidentification with body is so very deep. And then because I think I'm this body, I want to give enjoyment to this body. I want to give enjoyment to these eyes, to these ears. I want to give enjoyment to the mind, right? So this desires to enjoy this material world comes with one main benefit. What is the main benefit? Repeatedly move from one body to another, from the bodies of the devatas to a man, to a beast, to a worm, to a bird, to a reptile, to a aquatic, move from one body to another repeatedly for millions and billions of years. So these are some of the qualities of living entity in the material world. Why all this happens? Because we misuse that minute free will. I want to enjoy, that is fine. How? I want to enjoy separately from Lord. I want to enjoy on my own. I don't care about God. I don't want to follow Him. Right? So that is how that slight misuse of free will has changed our destiny. And let's look at the qualities of the material nature. What are the qualities? Wow, the first quality is same. Jiva or living entity, spirit soul is beginningless. Nature or Prakriti is also beginningless. Both are qualities of the Lord and both are beginningless. Both are eternal. And what does Prakriti do or material nature does? It builds our house. that rented house that we are living in right now, who made this? It is all composed of material nature. So provides residential quarters to the jiva and controls, and it controls the jiva through the three modes of material nature. So we'll see that shortly in these sessions coming up, that how there is these ladies who are there, the three modes, the sattva-gun, rajagun and tamo-gun. Sattva-gun, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. How these modes are actually controlling us. So this is how the living entity is controlled. And of course it is temporary, because there is, as you remember in the 9th chapter, the 9th session, that there is repeated creation, maintenance, destruction, and then creation, maintenance, destruction. So that is at the universal level. Even in our own bodies, the body is created, the father impregnates the mother, the soul is impregnated, and the body develops. So there is a creation of the body is maintained for some time, and the body is destroyed. So this whole material world, universe, body, everything is a temporary manifestation. It keeps transforming. So the sattva gun, rajagun, tamogun, these gunas also keep changing. They keep transforming. So that is the nature of the material world, prakriti. So we saw the jiva, we saw the prakriti, and before we go on to the super soul life lesson, again and again and again the matter defeats me. Am I investing my love at the wrong place? Well, that's the answer has to come from you. So let's look at the qualities of super soul. Now Krishna explains this in this particular section. He says that he is the transcendental enjoyer, not the living entity, not you and I. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. He is the supreme proprietor. He is the witness. So there is a lot of emphasis by the police and by the justice, the police department and the justice, whatever, that we should have a lot of CCTV cameras. So they encourage that we should put CCTV cameras in the for the businesses, for the house, for housing complex. Why? Because so that if whatever happens, untoward incident happens, there is some way we can record that. So it is used as an evidence in the court of law. Well, Lord is residing in our heart, and He is our CCTV camera. He is our witness. He is witnessing everything. Not just our activities. He is witnessing each and every thought that we have. He is witnessing each and every desire that we have. Like for example, if you stand next to a very fragrant flower, you really don't have to put in an effort. That fragrance will naturally enter into your nose and you can experience that wonderful fragrance. Similarly, the Lord just being next to the soul, the Lord knows what is the intent of this fellow. What is he thinking? What is he desiring? And of course, Lord is also our permitter, as we saw in one of the previous sections, that the spirit soul desires and Lord sanctions that desire based on guna and karma, based on the karma, the previous activities, and based on the desire, the Lord permits it, and the material nature provides the material bodies as a facility for us to enjoy. So He is the witness, Lord is the witness, Lord is the permitter. So we have a life lesson here. Please note, Krishna is watching, but He is a very loving person. He's our loving Father. He wants our good, and that is why He is watching over, somehow to help us. We are not interested in our own well-being. Krishna is interested in our well-being. So Krishna is watching. He is aware of our most private thoughts and intentions. Krishna is aware of those as well. So we cannot hide anything from Him. So super soul is there. It knows the soul, it knows its desire, instructs the nature, and that's how we get a body, then another body, then another body, then another body. Let's live the same life, just change our boss. Krishna is so wonderful. That's the only thing that we need to do. We have to change the leader. Who's our boss? We have to change that person. If we make Krishna our leader, if we make Krishna our life's boss, then everything will change. Then nothing else we have to do. And finally, come to the end of this particular chapter, Gyan Chakshu. When we have received this knowledge, what will happen to our vision? Right? So Krishna talks about this in the last few verses. Yavat sanjayate kinchit sattvam sa sthavara jangamam kshetra shetagya samyoga tadvidhi bharata rashabha. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of activities. So this is very simple thing. Whatever we see in the existence, whatever we see in the material world, whether a moving or non-moving, what do we need to understand? When I see a dog in the street, when I see a tree, when I see a plant, when I get up in the morning and see myself in the mirror, what do I see? Or what I should be seeing? That they are a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. That there is a material body, there is a spirit soul behind, and there is the super soul behind. In all living entities, without fail. So this is the vision that one gets. Whatever we see from this point of view. This is the actual reality or actual truth. So how do we gain this Shastra Chakshu or Gyan Chakshu? How do we gain this Gyan Chakshu? Well, by studying this chapter, by studying Bhagavad Gita, we gain it. And what is the destination of one who has these Gyan Chakshus? So, how do we acquire Gyan Chakshu? By gaining knowledge about Super Soul and beautiful. Super Soul is equally disposed. Super Soul is not partial. The Lord in the heart. See, we need to understand that all the living entities are actually Lord's part and parcel. They are all like children of God. They are like sons and daughters of God. They have all come from. So Lord has affection for all of them. So Super Soul is equally disposed towards all living entities. And then we need to understand that body is different from the self. That's what Krishna has been explaining. Actually, Krishna is explaining that from the 2nd chapter onwards. Right? So body is different from the self, from the soul or the self. The soul does not mix with matter. Soul does not mix with matter. We cannot mix it. It doesn't get mixed. They are always separate. Even now, I am living in this body. I as a spirit soul, I am living in this body, but this body and I, we are separate, two separate entities. We do not mix. And in fact, it is the soul which illuminates the whole body with consciousness. Consciousness is a symptom of soul. When the soul is there, the body is conscious. When the soul goes away, the body dies. That's a very simple fact. The life does not come from matter. The consciousness does not come from a combination of matter. Consciousness is a symptom of soul. Just like there is sun and it illuminates the entire universe. Similarly, when the soul is present in the body, the whole body acts. The whole body moves. The whole body is conscious. So consciousness is a symptom of soul. So all material activities, the third point, all material activities are performed by the body, not by the soul. Soul just stays separate from the body. And of course, we can acquire Gyan Chakshu if we have control over the mind and senses. And for that, I have an amazing incident or a pastime. This is of a person. His name was Dhanurdas. And this Dhanurdas had a very good, well-built body. He was a good athlete. Some say he was a good wrestler. He was a good archer. He had a very stout, strong body. but he was very attracted to a woman, to his wife. She was very beautiful, angelic beauty, like a damsel, and her eyes. So he was so enamored by the beauty of his wife. So one time what happened, his wife expressed a desire that she want to go for a particular festival, for a Chitra festival of Nam Perumal, of a in the south city of Sri Rangam. So she wanted to go and have darshan of this festival. So Dhanurdas accompanied her. In fact, he was carrying an umbrella, trying to protect the beauty of his wife so that it's not scorched by the hot sun. And he was constantly gazing at her. And actually this happened 1,000 years back, and we can understand that it was like, it was a very odd thing to happen, for such a thing to happen in the public, that this man, he's just so enamored at the beauty of his wife. And in fact, that festival is going on, everybody's looking at the beauty of the deity who has come out, and the festival is going on of the Lord. Everybody's watching it, but Dhanurdas had no time for Lord. He was watching the beauty of his wife. And when Ramanujacharya, he saw this, he was coming there along with his disciples. When he saw this, he decided to be merciful to Dhanurdas and change his destiny. So Ramanujacharya challenged Dhanurdas, why are you doing this? So Dhanurdas said, no, my wife is so beautiful. Her eyes are so beautiful. I am not able to take my eyes off. I am so much attracted and attached to them. Ramanujacharya threw him a challenge. Well, if I show you the eyes more enchanting than anything else in this universe, what will you do? Then Dhanurdas said, yes, is it really possible? Well, I'll give my life. And then Ramanujacharya took him to the beautiful temple of Sri Rangam, to the deity of Ranganath Swami, and Ramanujacharya prayed to the deities, to the deity of Ranganath, that you please reveal your most exquisitely beautiful eyes and you save this spirit soul. So Ramanujacharya prayed intensely, and when Dhanurdas came there, Lord revealed his supremely beautiful eyes to Dhanurdas. And when Dhanurdas saw this, he completely transformed and he became one of the greatest devotees. So having control of the mind and senses is very simple. Engage those senses in the service of the Lord, and all of our senses will naturally become purified and naturally become controlled. So with this verse, we look at the destination. Kshetra shretagyor evam antaram jnana chakshusha bhuta prakritir moksham cha ye vidur yanti te param. Those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. So this verse gives a falastuti. So what? Those who see the eye with eyes of knowledge, Gyan Chakshu, second line, Gyan Chakshu. So those who see with the eyes of knowledge, difference between the body and the knower of the body. So they understand this body is made up of matter, but beyond this body is the knower of the body, the spirit soul and the super soul. So those who know this and can understand the process of liberation. What is the process of liberation? Krishna talked about in this particular chapter. The process is, my devotee, if we render devotional service to Krishna, Krishna says that in this particular chapter, then I develop love for him. Then Krishna is saying, Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha. Get liberation from the bondage of material nature, attain the supreme goal. Ye vidur yanti te param. We go to the supreme abode of the Lord. So our objective should be that we have positive spiritual engagements, easier, simpler, and definitely better than artificial controls. So we cannot artificially control our senses because they want engagement. So if we engage them in spiritual Krishna service, then they will naturally be controlled. Like we have this tongue, it wants to taste, it wants to speak, right? So we want to taste, yes, taste beautiful, tasty Krishna Prasad. We want to speak, chant the holy names, talk about Krishna. So with that, we come to the end of the chapter. 13. Arjuna asked very intelligent questions. Arjuna asked 6 questions, mainly about body, soul, super soul, equation, prakriti, enjoyer. So these were the 6 questions which the Arjuna asks. And knowledge and how to gain. So we understand this knowledge about the prakriti, about the enjoyer, about the kshetra, the body, the kshetragya, the knowers of the body, the jnanam, the knowledge, and gyam, the object of knowledge. So all these 6 things, if you really want to gain, Krishna says that we have to develop saintly qualities. Unless we develop those virtues, we cannot understand this knowledge. I mean, this is just really fascinating. And what is the most important quality? Constant and unalloyed devotion. If I have constant and pure devotion to Krishna, then I can gain this knowledge. What is the essential quality? That I accept the bona fide spiritual master. What are the other important qualities? Krishna spoke about humility, non-violence, self-control, tolerance, and there are so many other qualities which Krishna talks about. 18 other qualities are there. And then Krishna further talks about soul and super soul. Attributes of the soul: it is eternal, subordinate to Krishna, it belongs to the spiritual world, not to this material world. And what are the attributes of super soul? It is all pervading. It is outside, it is inside. It is the origin of these senses. Krishna has all these senses, the Lord has all these senses, but his senses are spiritual, not covered by matter like us. And he is undivided, although he appears innumerable living entities, but he is still one person. He resides in the heart of all living entities, and he is the supreme enjoyer. And there we saw that how qualities of the jiva, we saw qualities of material nature, how to reach perfection, and qualities of the super soul. So we saw that in the 4th section. And finally, if we understand all this knowledge, Gyan Chakshu, how to acquire? Of course, based on this knowledge and sense control. And the destination of such a person is Param, the absolute abode of the Lord in the spiritual world. So with that, we come to the end of the 13th chapter. Thank you for being there. Well, a very important question which I was thinking that I'll ask all of you is, how will the knowledge that Lord resides in our heart can change your outlook towards daily life? In our day-to-day life, what changes will it bring about? I really like to know that. Please write your comments in the below this video. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. So with that, I'd like to take your leave. Amren Gaurdas. Oh yes, preview of the next session. The 3 modes, how and to what extent does it bind? Right, so that we'll be discussing tomorrow. Modes and an impact on death, Satogun, Rajogun, Tamogun. What are the modes and what does it impact have on death? Is there a way to overcome the modes? Well, yes, there is. And that will be discussed in tomorrow's session. So with that, I'd like to take your leave. Amren Gaurdas. Hare Krishna.